So now I want to introduce our panel discussion right from the field. So we want to invite these persons to come up. First, we have Mr. Richard DeRosa. He's coming from as the Director of Behavioral Health and Healthy Start Child Programs and Father-Friendly Initiatives with Boston Healthy Start. So if you would take the first seat. Our second panel guest is Mr. Keston Jones. He is with the Fatherhood Program Coordinator at Healthy Start Brooklyn. Brooklyn in the house, y'all. Can y'all hear? Be careful coming up. There you go. We're not paying any workers' comp today. All right, and then our third speaker is Mr. Rodney Moore, the Fatherhood Program Coordinator with New Haven Healthy Start. Welcome. Let's give them all a hand. So this is going to be where the rubber meets the road. We're going to give each one of them 5 minutes to come up and talk about their programs real quick, and then we will have a time of engagement with Ken and the audience. Okay, so first up.
Good morning, everyone. So again, my name is Rich DeRosa. I'm the Director of the Father-Friendly Initiative of the Boston Public Health Commission. We are a level 1 funded site. We're level 1 in fight, so we approach our services in a 3-pronged manner. We intervene on the individual level, so we provide case management to dads as well as parent education. We engage at the community level. We're part of several different groups. We used to have in Boston, My Brother's Keeper's working group for fatherhood. We're actually combining that with what's called the Fatherhood Engagement Leadership Team, which is through our Child Protective Services. So instead of having a bunch of different groups working on fatherhood in the city of Boston, we now have one. And we have several different events we do through the year. One major event we have is what's called the Father Family Fun Day, where we draw in anywhere between 300 to 500 families a year, right around Father's Day. It's usually a week before, so June 10th this year we're going to be doing it. In addition to that, we've sort of created in Boston a collaboration of different agencies. So we've got the Child Protective Service, DCF, Children's Trust Fund, Whittier Street Health Center, the Commission, and then the Family Nurturing Center. And as a state, we're sort of consolidating around a curriculum called the Nurturing Fathers Program, which is an adaptation of the Family Nurturing Program, which is an evidence-based program. And the reason we're doing this is one of the challenges we've had is our graduation rates. The dads, if they miss more than 2 sessions, they can't graduate. And by collaborating with a bunch of different agencies, we're now able to start staggering our groups. And this is the first year we're going to do this. We're going to stagger down about 3 to 4 weeks apart. That way, if guys don't complete the first group, they can jump into the next one and just make up those sessions. And then the other prong we take is on the systems level. So I'm a part of what's called the Interagency Fatherhood Working Group, I apologize, which consists of most of our state agencies as well as some city agencies. We have a few community-based organizations. And through that organization, we have a summit every year called the Fatherhood Leadership Summit. And we draw judges, executive directors, as well as legislators to really promote programming around fatherhood. Thanks.
Good morning. So I certainly want to talk about my program, but someone told me this a long time ago, and they said, a friend of mine said, no matter where you go, there you are. And I can't talk about the work that I do with fathers without talking about myself, without talking about where I came from, without talking about the importance of why I do this work. So again, Keston Jones, I'm a son, I'm a friend, I'm a colleague, I'm an individual that was raised in Brooklyn, New York, that has a number of experiences that has informed my life. But I'm also a black man in America. And for some reason, there's a vast majority of this population that hate my black skin. I think some of us in this room can attest to that. As a result of not liking my black skin, individuals that look like me, children that are born through fathers that look like me, have to contend with this particular issue. So in doing this work, I'm always mindful of that. The fatherhood program in which I coordinate is called In the Circle. And I'm very intentional about the name, In the Circle. For the last 40 years, we've adopted policies in this country that has taken fathers, especially black fathers, out of the circle when it comes to family. When I hear about family in this country, I hear women, children, and families. As if fathers themselves aren't a part of the whole circle when it comes to families. And I think it's important for us to recognize that. The good doctor earlier spoke about policies in this country. Because when we talk about fatherhood, we talk about situational things. We say that these men are not doing this, and these fathers are bad, and these deadbeats. But we aren't talking about the systems that's developing around this nation that is informing policy and informing agencies on how we're developing these programs. Last I checked, when I see an RFP for a grant, that agency, I don't care if that agency was doing work with this, that, and the other, it's going to fit the trend of whatever this RFP is looking for. So if this grant proposal says that we're looking for an agency that supports mothers and children and do this, that, and the other, this agency is going to overnight transform into this particular agency. Yep. Unfortunately, we aren't seeing a lot of grant proposals for fatherhood work. We aren't seeing a lot of proposals that are talking about the importance of including fathers into the discussion. And last but not least, we aren't seeing an intentional effort to include men of color into this work. Every time I do a presentation, no matter where I go, I think it's very important that we talk about that. That we talk about those advocates among us right now that strive to do this work every day, but are given less than stellar opportunities. That are not given the proper tools that we need in order to do this work effectively. And every time I finish talking about this, I always have 2, 3, 4, 5 brothers come up to me, yo, Keston, can I talk to you? I turn around like, what's happening? How do we get to the point where we're talking about the importance of our family, the importance of including fathers, but we feel like we can't really talk about it out in the open? And that's why coming here and doing this presentation, it's the highlight of my year. Because we're amongst advocates that know the issues. We're amongst advocates that deal with this every day. And some of us are frustrated. Some of us are the only fatherhood advocate in the whole agency. Some of us are the only male in the whole agency. But you want us to somehow overnight transform this whole program that was, one, not funded for you. Ooh. I mean, can I be honest here? That wasn't funded for you, has limited researchers for you. You know, we can give the men, a group. We can give them some sandwiches. We can probably give them some transportation. But we can't really give them anything else. So throughout this panel, I'll talk a little bit more about my program. I'll talk about the successes that this program has had. And this is what I really want to talk about today. I don't really want to talk about what these fathers aren't doing, because we know the statistics. We know what's out there. But we also know that when we support fathers, that when we are inclusive in our work, that we have better outcomes for our children. All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rodney Moore, and I'm the program coordinator of the Male Involvement Network in the New Haven Healthy Start in New Haven, Connecticut. My program basically deals with fathers that come straight from incarceration that have child support issues, and they come directly to us. The majority of my fathers basically have no idea of how to be a father. The majority of my fathers have no idea where their father is. So for me to try to instill skills into men that have no idea of what to do when it comes to their children it's a really hard task. But for me, I just want to make sure that all my fathers know, including my moms, because we do get mothers also that have to come and pay the child support, but the majority of my clientele is basically male. So when they come into our program, we basically do what we call intensive case management. Because the majority of our fathers, and I'm just keeping it real, they have experienced some type of trauma somewhere along the line from growing up, and even including myself, just growing up in the ghetto, I've experienced some trauma. It's just how we deal with that particular trauma, even though that we have it. So the fathers that we deal with, we do intensive case management, we run fatherhood programs, we run fatherhood classes for them, and we also do some employment skills, employment readiness. The one thing I try to tell my fathers is, I don't have any jobs to give you. I don't own any companies to say that I'm going to hire you. But what I can work with you on is to try to instill in you some confidence, some skills that you don't mind going out there doing the footwork, knocking on doors, applying for jobs. And if you get turned down, keep on applying. Because the majority of our guys, they come looking for employment, but they have that issue of the criminal background. But that should not limit them to give up. And when they give up, we know what they do. They either go back to what they did before, or they become, addicted to certain substances to try to ease their mind from those particular things. But as a father myself, and also as a grandfather, I try to make sure I let all my fathers know, I know you're frustrated. I know you're frustrated and I know you're upset with everything, but it's not about you being frustrated anymore. It's about what are you going to do for your children so that they don't have to end up in the situation that you are in. Because I truly believe that a lot of our kids are in situations that they're in because they lack their fathers or some type of male role model in their life. And if a father can somehow spend some time with their children, show your children that you really care. You may not have the degrees and the skills that other men may have, but you do have the presence of being there for your child. And that's all that child ever asks for any of my fathers, just to be here with me. I don't want your child support check. I just want you back by my side. Read me a book, or just play some checkers with me. That's all that most children want. And that's one of the things I try to instill in my fathers. And even my fathers that don't get along with their children's mother, the main thing I try to instill in them is to try to have some type of positive communication with their child's mother, especially in the presence of their child. Because even if you're not together, but if you can communicate positively with your baby's mother in front of that child can understand what a relationship is or how a man and a woman are supposed to act. If you're arguing with your children constantly all the time, then that's what's going to happen. And I truly believe that a lot of men need to be involved from the beginning to the end. And that's the whole part of Healthy Start. And I'm truly thankful for Ken for getting me involved in that, because I never really had the opportunity to work with fathers and getting them close to their children. Before I started this, I was basically just working with fathers coming out of jail just to stay out of jail. But now it's really important that they get involved with their children. And with my program, we do see a lot of fathers going back to school to get GEDs, or just going back to school to get skills so that they can know how to be a father, know how to answer questions that their children may ask, and just trying to be there for them. So, and I truly believe that their recidivism has stopped in my program. Probably about 85% of my fathers don't go back once they realize that they have a relationship with their child. Most of my fathers that go back are because they don't have that steady relationship with the child. But the ones that get the steady relationship, they don't seem to go back. And I'll talk more about my, the way we produce things and the good numbers that come out with my fathers later. So I thank you very much.
Wow. So let's give Ken another mic. So we have an incredible task. We have about 20 minutes where we're going to try to get some information out of the experts that are here. And three of them, as you can recognize from their passion, represent a wealth of information and experience working with men and fathers and families. And so between Ken and myself, we're going to try to get some of that information out of them through asking them questions. We also want you to be engaged in that, especially for the fathers that are here. This is an opportunity to really not just talk about the program, but really for us this year, in our third year, is to really have an understanding of where fathers are. So Ken, I know that many of these guys are doing programs like evidence-based programs such as 24/7 Dads, Daddy Boot Camp. Most of our programs around the country are using those curriculums. So we know that kind of stuff is happening. But as Ira said, the best impact is at one-on-one. And these kind of guys and new folks that have been hired at these sites are those people that will be doing one-on-one with Dad. And so, do you have a question that you want to start with?
Sure. Why did you guys get involved in this work versus doing something else?
So I got this work. I grew up in foster care as a child. I was thrown away by my mom, who's white, because I'm half black, and I aged out of the system at 22. So when I graduated college, I was very invested in helping children and families. So that's what brought me to this.
So I got into this work for a number of reasons. One, I am not a father. I'm a father figure. I'm a mentor. However, I know what it feels like not to have a father. I know what it feels like to see your friends, talk about daddy this and daddy that, and my father wasn't there. And when I think back and when I look at the situation, the circumstances that affected why he wasn't there, it had a lot to do with my mother not wanting him. And I found that in a lot of the cases with the men that we work with, we have gatekeepers. We have people that are dealing with relational issues, and it's causing a rift between their ability to see their children. And I find that in a lot of these communities, we only hear from the other side. Well, why isn't this father there? Because he's a deadbeat. Why isn't this father here? Because he's no good. Your Honor, why do you not want him to see his son? Oh, because I'm fearful around him. And then that's the end of the discussion. We never hear from the father's side. We may hear from the mother's mother, the mother's aunt, but we usually don't hear from the father. And in working in family court for a number of years, I've had hundreds of cases where this was the situation. And also, in terms of doing this work on this level, I did a lot of programming in terms of anger management, domestic violence, working with people who are formerly incarcerated. But as it relates to working with fathers, families, and children, I found that a lot of men are not in this particular area. In terms of intervening with our children. And when I initially got into this work, it was like, what can I do? Show me what you need me to do. And after doing that for a number of years, I realized that I needed to stop saying that. I needed to say that this is what we need to do. Because when we work with mothers, which is mostly women, they tell us what they need to do. They say that this mother does not want to work with men because she's the victim of this, or she's the victim of that, and we want to protect her. But when we work with fathers, we don't have the same kind of autonomy to work with fathers. And I think we need more men in this field, in this area, to really support dads, because we have to talk about, we have to think about the fathers themselves and who are they comfortable with. Some of our fathers are going through historical trauma. They're going through microaggressions, they're going through racism, and it may manifest in ways that some of our female counterparts may not be able to handle.
Thank
So
you.
I think that that's another reason why I put this.
All right.
I'm doing this work. One, I was a teenage father, and I was paying child support at the age of 17. So I paid for 18 straight years, and I see a lot of fathers struggle. But the main reason I'm doing the work is because I raised my niece since when I was in 11th grade. My sister passed away through domestic violence, and she passed right after my niece was born. My mom was a single mom of 10 kids, 6 boys and 4 girls. Now she's got a granddaughter. So I basically had to be a father in 11th grade to my niece, who her father wasn't around and her mom wasn't around. And I saw the need in my niece, even though my father wasn't around either, but I saw the need in my niece. And ever since then, it has kept me doing this work, trying to get kids involved with their fathers, because I know how important it really is.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Smackdown. Any question?
Yeah, so Richard, you can hold the mic there. So, and we're going to ask people, the answer is kind of short, so we can also get other folks in. But really, what do you all see as the needs of these fathers? You work with them. What would you lift up here in this place and space that really talk about the needs that you see among the population?
So obviously, employment, housing security, food security, yes, all that stuff. But from my perspective, I think dads need empathy and understanding. When I talk with case managers who are working with mothers, and you ask them, do you think fathers should be involved? They all say yes. They're all very enthusiastic. When you talk to them individually about a specific case, all these issues all of a sudden start coming out. The biggest one being domestic violence. Even when there's no evidence of it, it might have happened. So if we don't know, we have to have an assumption that yes, there is domestic violence happening. So for me, that's the biggest one.
I think the biggest need for fathers is for us as a collective to really embrace it. I think fathers want to feel like they're a part of something. Men in general want to feel like they're a part of something. If you tell us, or if you exclude us from a situation, we're going to just, go off to the side. But if you tell us, excuse me, Mrs. Such and Such, we need you, and we welcome you, I think that's the biggest need. And in working with the men, especially going through my parenting programs, usually after the end of these classes, they usually don't want to stop. We want to continue to go because we want to feel like we belong. And I think that's true for fathers, but I also think that's true for advocates in this field as well. Agencies that work with families, please, we need to feel like we belong as well.
I agree with that. I think what we need, fathers need, is for us to be able to encourage them and motivate them, because a lot of fathers, when they come out of incarceration, saying they can't get back into society, and it takes time. But I tell a lot of my fathers, when you're incarcerated, you follow the rules with no problem. You adjusted to that society inside. So now you're out, with the support of us, you can adjust to society outside. So I think they really need the encouragement of us to help them get along.
The intent of the questions, especially the initial question in terms of what drove these men to do what they do, is to put a human factor in terms of this work. Let you see the value of it. And so as leaders in your organization, it will give you an idea of the kind of persons you need to be looking at to come into this work, because this is very, very difficult and sometimes very intense work. And so that was the intent of the first question. The second question, again, is to keep you engaged. And so the third question for me...
Okay, before you go to your third question,
yes.
Could I just emphasize what we heard in the second question with
Absolutely.
regards to responses in case people didn't get it? But with Richard, Richard talked about they need empathy. So we don't want to forget that belonging. Again, this population has a history of being excluded. So now we're talking about including them in your program. Empathy is really important. I thought it was interesting that each of them used the E too.
Absolutely.
And because Keston went on to talk about embracing them, and what does that really look like? People don't talk about that because it doesn't come out in a program design necessarily, but he talked about embracing and he emphasized what that looks like. And then, Rodney just brought it on with encouragement. Again, they come out feeling discouraged. I can't do this, I can't do that. So the encouragement. So I just wanted to mention
Absolutely. We're on an E-roll, aren't we? E-roll. Kind of like e-commerce. So the third question, what presents some of the greatest barriers in terms of this work with men? Just one or two at the most.
So for us, I think that the greatest barrier is the relationship between dad and mom. That really, really gets in the way of progress.
I certainly concur with that, but I also think I would say provide a bias. And the reason why I say that is because, to give a prime example, I'm not going to name the program, but we're developing, I work for the City of New York, Department of Health, and we're developing a program where it's classified as something for the entire community. It's something for everybody to really, receive services. But the name of the program was, I'm just making up a name, the Women's Empowerment Zone. And that was the name of the program that was initially developed for this particular community inclusion program. And they came to me and they asked me, Keston, how can we involve more fathers? And the first thing I said was change the name. Amen. Change the name. And then after, eventually they changed the name. But the programs that they propose to put into the women's empowerment program are still solely just for women. So we can change the name, but if we're not changing our practice, then we're back to square one. And the fathers that we work with in our communities, they see that when they go into programs. They see the colors of the program. They see the staff that are embracing them. It's very important that we are intentional about including the fathers, and sometimes it has to be the providers being more aware of what these fathers are going through, and also looking to diversify our staff as well.
Thank you.
I'm probably gonna get in trouble by a lot of my fathers, but I think the main barrier for me is marijuana with my fathers. Because I think for some reason they believe that that's okay. And they would rather smoke marijuana than really just accept the fact and just go ahead and buckle down and just be a responsible individual. I think that's the key for me is the marijuana has been a barrier for my fathers because they put that first before anything. So.
Can I just unpack that a little bit? Are you a drug-free program, and is that why marijuana is a barrier? Or is it really impacting their ability to really become good fathers from a psychological and sociological standpoint?
I think it's impacting their ability to become fathers, but they're using that excuse because society allows them to say that it's okay. And until we can let them know that it's not okay, they're going to continue to use that because they believe that, hey, I'm okay, I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm not killing anybody. But in reality, you're not even moving, progressing forward.
Yeah, and I think added to that, so the impact their ability to be engaged, as we heard earlier. And so many of them, the studies that they're doing, I know, working with Boston University, doing that study, the GATE project, we did a focus group in New Haven. And again, many of those men identified themselves as using marijuana. So instead of going out for jobs, getting motivated, they end up just staying on smoking. So I think impacting their ability to kind of be engaged in their lives. Yeah, so Ken, I'm looking at the time, so I really think we should open it up to the audience as well.
Yeah,
So for a couple of minutes, because we want to save a minute and a half for these guys to close. So Ken is the runner because he's younger than I am, and I don't want anyone to help him. I want him to run across the room back and forth. Okay. All right, so just raise your hands and ask some questions for these folks.
All right.
Hi, so my name is Justin. I actually do some work with Ken and Rich at Boston University. I'm curious for each of you, to what degree do you incorporate kind of preconception or family planning, so before the young men become fathers? Is that at all a part of your curriculum, or do you address that at all in any way? Yeah.
Currently, no. We only work with dads.
Currently, our program, no, we only work with fathers. However, I do a lot of work outside of my Healthy Start work. I'm a first-year PhD student, so part of my research is developing, really looking at what is happening with young men in our community, how do they become, what are some of the things that prevent them from being successful dads? What is success in our communities? Because other communities, it may be different. Success may be, being able to, have college paid for. Whereas in some communities that we work with, success may be just putting food on the table. So really identifying the differences between our communities that we work with.
And we just work with dads too, but we also...
No, you don't.
We also have a program, we have young teens, so we do try to do prevention with them and work with them from the beginning stages of precautions, the whole 9 yards. And even with our older fathers, we still try to talk to them about prevention.
Yeah, and I said no with Rodney because he's in New Haven with the New Haven Healthy Start program. So he's new to his role at Healthy Start. He's been working at the agency that actually implements our father program. But what happens in our system, we have two male coordinators, but what happens in our system with regards to our women, when they get enrolled, their partners identified and then the referrals made to our Male Involvement Network where fathers are funneled to Rodney as well as our other worker. So we do work around the preconception. And Rodney has actually been excellent, even in his new role, because he's actually walked fathers over to our offices to make sure they were connected with their partners. And so don't undervalue what you have in your Where's Ken? He's little. I have to find. There you go. All right, Tony.
I have two questions. All right, the first one is, have you, any one of you guys can answer this question. Have you had an opportunity to take a look at your return on investment and the work that you have done, and if you have, what do that look like? And then my second question is, how receptive have your female coworkers been to you in your role?
The first question, I think it has increased our guys, really, and I can see the goodness in our guys, because what happens is now, through graduations and stuff like that, our magistrates are now starting to see the improvement in fathers when they come in front of the bench. So now it's to the point where the magistrates are referring fathers to our program because they can see how they're turning out the next time they come across in front of them in the bench. They're starting to be more responsible, they're starting to be more parent-like, so our magistrates are starting to get involved in more. And what was the last question, the second question you had?
How receptive have your female coworkers been?
At our agencies, they've definitely been receptive too, because a lot of our females are mothers with children who have those type of fathers that are not with them. But all the females, at least in our agency, are definitely receptive. They work with every father, they work with me with every father I need, so they are welcome to every father, and they try to be as supportive as I am to all my fathers.
So in terms of the first question, we do see significant success with our dads around the areas of education and employment. I think in terms of how we're received by our coworkers, our female counterparts, they accept us, they're excited about us, but again, sort of getting into these integrated cases where you've got a case manager working with the mom and the child and father-friendly working with the dad and the child continues to be a huge challenge. That being said, I would say in the past year, we've increased the numbers maybe 300%, which is still a pretty small number, but it's moving in the right direction.
I'm just kidding, yeah. So there's a lot of success in terms of the program. Since we've been doing the program, fathers have graduated. We don't have that high of an attrition rate in terms of fathers graduating from the program, and fathers have always stressed that they want to be a part of the program. So what we're doing right now, we're actually doing domestic violence training for providers free of charge for advocates in the community to really support them in their efforts of doing this particular work. Fathers also attend the support groups, which are active with the mandate in terms of parenting is concerned. As far as my female colleagues, again, working for the health department is hard to say because we have over 6,000 employees, and I'm one of two people that focus on males. So we have 6,000 employees, and I'm one of two. So it's very difficult to say how supportive, because within our agency, we're siloed in our funding streams. Agencies, if you're funded to work with domestic violence, then you live, breathe, sleep, eat domestic violence, and working with children. So it's hard to really, come outside the box and really see what is happening over at the fatherhood table. So I say that the people that I work with that know me, that know my passion, that see me in the community, they're very supportive. However, the follow-up, Keston, can we help you more? Can we be a voice for you? Can we talk to the commissioner about your work and really elevating your work? And we haven't seen that. And at times it's difficult because I know I have conversations with my colleagues. I talk about the fact that my colleagues are mothers and have sons and have brothers that are involved in child support and all these other systems, and they see it's not fair. However, it's at times difficult.
So Ken, so we have just a little time left, right? So we're going to recognize the last two questions, but do you think those gentlemen are going to be short?
I think they are.
Okay. I just wanted to know if I need to be on guard to cut them off.
Yeah, not only that, they're just going to identify one person on the panel that's going to answer.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Thank
they've
you, Ken.
committed to that.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. My question is to Mr. Moore. Are you working with guys that are former incarcerated mostly, and dealing with a lot of the guys myself, and me personally being formerly incarcerated? a lot of these guys run from the responsibility of being there for a kid because stability, or not having a job, not being able to really be there for that kid. The streets take half of the time, a lot of times when you're trying to hustle or do other things and trying to make ends meet. So their time are limited with the kid. Could you address how you talk and deal with that with a lot of guys in the program?
Good, excellent question. And that's one of the things that I deal with every day with the majority of all my particular fathers that come in. That's the problem, is the stability. How am I going to be able to take care and be the man that I'm supposed to be for my child when I know I can't really provide for them? And most of the time it's because they feel they can't provide financially. But what I do all the time is I call, what we do is called Dad Days Out activities. And we have them all the time. So I tell all my fathers, bring your children to the agency. We have these Dad's Day Out activities where you're spending time, quality time with your kids. It's not about the economics. It's not about all the other stuff. And when you're spending that time with that child and you see your child's face and how happy they are with you, all that other stuff goes out the window. Because your focus now is how I make my child feel. And that's what I try to get all my fathers to understand. How do you make your child feel? Not about how you feel and what you have to do. How do you make your child feel? And if your child's in front of you and you're doing the right thing and you can see that he loves your presence or she loves your presence, then that's going to be your focus from now on. And that's what I try to tell you.
Last question.
How you doing? I'm Bill Davis. I'm with a program called UIH Family Partners in Trenton, New Jersey. And we deal mostly with people in reentering society from incarceration, as well, and most of our people are dads, single dads, and non-custodial fathers. Okay, and my question is going to be very specific. I really had about 5 questions, but I just want to ask, well, 2 for Mr. Moore. Our program is similar to yours in a lot of ways, but we try to address all of these issues. But specifically, how do you deal with the issue of arrears when it comes to child support? Because many of our men come out of incarceration, they didn't do the necessary forms that are necessary to stop their child support. And so they come out with thousands and thousands of dollars in arrears. And for Mr. DeRosa, how do you deal with we are developing a batterers intervention program, but we found out there's a lot of resistance and negativity, not just from the legal world, but from the community at large. And the idea is to lock them up and send them right back into the community without any help, without any behavioral changes or anything. So are you dealing with those aspects of it? And just speak a little on the domestic violence issue.
First of all, let me say thank you. Trenton, New Jersey is basically a dear place in my heart. I have family there, and I also named my son Trenton, that because of Trenton, New Jersey. So my youngest son is named Trenton, and that's where he gets it from. So, but on the arrearage piece, that's really, really big. And what I did with our guys is I made it a point for me to make sure I got meetings with all my magistrates for the whole state of Connecticut, for family court, so that I can understand the arrearage process for my fathers when they come in front of them. And once I was able to get that meeting with them, we worked out what we call good faith payments. So if you have an arrearage of maybe $15,000, $16,000, and you have a weekly payment of $80, $90 a week, and that's low, what I worked out with our magistrates is good faith payments. Because if they realize if you can show consistency of making some type of payment toward that shows that you are trying to take care of it, whether it's $5, whether it's $10, whether it's $15, whatever you pay on a weekly basis, it's been satisfying to the judges. And I think that's been easing a lot of stress from our fathers because of the arrearage. And in the state of Connecticut, I'm not sure about any other states, but we have this arrearage pardon type program. If you can continue to do certain things, portion of your arrears can get erased. Not all of it, just a portion of it, but it's just a program that you have to go through.
So in Connecticut, the Bradley law,
Yes.
Bradley law is not in full effect?
Not in full effect. And if you talk to any father in Connecticut, they'll tell you Connecticut was a woman's state. So that's the struggle with us because everything is basically going for the women. But legislation is starting to change in support of all that now.
And so before Rich answers your second question, I want to say this bit of history because it connects with Richard as well. And so in Connecticut, years ago, we started the Fatherhood work. 20 years ago, we began our first coordinator that did exactly what Rodney did, and that's establish a relationship with magistrates. And so I think that's a great strategy for folks to do. And that's been the success of our program over the years. And also remember being in Boston when we started the Father Friendly program, our Father program kind of kicked off with a partnership with child support and also looking at those issues and really inviting magistrates to come and be a part of that. So that helped lift that work 25 years ago. So that's an important piece. And now connects to Richard, and you're answering the question on domestic violence.
Yes. So yeah, we deal with domestic violence on a daily basis.
You do battery?
We don't. We have an organization called Emerge in Boston that does our batterers work there. The one thing I would say about domestic violence, and I've talked about sort of the way in which it prevents services being sort of delivered to men. The other flip side of that is being real careful that when we're doing case management with that, we're not over-identifying with that. You often hear case managers come in and talk about, well, she didn't do this. And that's a problem. So that's something we deal with on a regular basis.
Wow, Ken. So we're over the time we wanted to be because this gentleman, although he said he's going to do 2 questions, I think he got his 5 in. But we appreciate it. We appreciate it. So thank you for being strategic in doing that. And so we want to wrap up, but we certainly don't want to leave out 30 seconds for each of these guys to kind of end on. And so for me, Ken, I don't know about you, but I think when we do this work, it's always been a struggle. When we started in 1991 with 15 Healthy Start programs around the country, the program is called Maternal Child Health. So this system is not designed for men. So we're always focusing on the design of the system. And that's why we talk about the challenges today. But 15 years ago, when we started with our Healthy Start sites, we did not have funding to do fatherhood, but many of those sites set out to do fatherhood work. And we've really perfected, if you will, a way of addressing our men from what we've learned from working with our women and children. And so the model that we have at the national level is reflective of the Healthy Start program over 25 years of experience. And so even though we didn't start out focusing on fathers, all 100 sites around the country are focused on fathers. And we're really focused on keeping them together and integrating some of the services and some of the thoughts that you've heard this afternoon. So for those that are working with those Healthy Start sites, we invite you to partner with us at the national level. We have great leaders like these in front of you that are helping us advance the father work. The federal government, again, is emphasizing focus on fathers, so we're doing a lot of innovative things. And instead of folks working all by yourselves, let's keep this work as a collective so that we can move the agenda, because still, this is maternal child health, and there hasn't been any new dollars added for fathers. Also, on tomorrow, we're going to be doing more on child support, so you have a presentation, and we can continue some of the conversation that has started here. But Ken, for the last 30 seconds, for these guys, I think it's important to talk about hope. Our work with Jason over the years, we've talked about men's feelings of inadequacy override their sense of responsibility, which is what you've heard here. Men don't feel adequate, and therefore they don't jump and take responsibility. But we've always operated in thinking about hope. And so I think it's important that these guys end on a note of hope. What do you think?
Yes, I do. And I do want to give 2 of my 30 seconds to Angela. She wanted to give something quickly to us, and then I'll wrap up with those guys. And the final question for them will be, what is needed to move the work forward?
Okay, so
Thank you. Good morning. For those that don't know me, I'm Angela Hayes Tolliver, and I'm one of the Federal Healthy Start Project officers, the longest one. And I really wanted to come out this morning because all of these gentlemen represent programs that I actually am the project officer for. And I wanted to make sure that I was here to be supportive. And I want to just say that it's very important for the project directors as well as you that are doing the male involvement. We are doing site visits, from here on out until about through September or so. The project officers, make sure that your project officer sees what you're doing in terms of male involvement, actually visit. I visited with Rodney and he had a dad and his son. I got to see how they interacted, and he gave me a really good presentation. Richard's program, I was on a home visit. That was my first home visit, male home visit with male visiting male. It was very significant for me, okay, because your project officers, we're the ones that take back what we see to support what's being done on the national level. So just make sure that it's all inclusive. I don't want to leave Keston out, but he wasn't there when I did my site visit in Brooklyn, but I know he's doing a lot of good work. So I just wanted to take a minute to let you know that we're here to support you, the program. Thank you.
Your question again? From them?
The question is, what is needed to move this work forward? So just kind of one thing to move the work forward.
So I'm going to answer different questions, sorry. I just want to highlight a couple of things I'm really proud of in the last thing I didn't talk about. One is every dad that comes in our program gets insurance if they don't have it and is connected with primary care. Getting them to go from competitive care, appointments is a different story, but at least we're connecting folks. The other thing that we're really proud of that is going to be launching very soon, just waiting for lawyers to sign on, is we have a significant number of homeless dads who have custody of their kids if they have a home. And they can't get a home if they don't have custody of their kids. And most of our homeless services are really geared toward women and children. So we are going to be starting a partnership with Boston Housing Authority where if we have a dad that's homeless who's being able to get custody of a child, we have preferential status to get housing, which is about 6 months. And that would be permanent housing based on income.
First in the nation.
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to thank Deborah for convening this conference, as well as inviting me up to speak, as well as the rest of us. I think this is a very important subject. I'm very passionate about it, and I see every day with the fathers that I work with why it's important. As far as what do we need to do, I think we as organizers, we as counselors, we as program directors, we should inform our practice. And I think that sometimes when we do this work, we think about, oh, those are those guys over there. That's the father coordinator, let them handle that. And if we understand that communities encompass both men and women, both fathers and mothers, both boys and girls, if we inform our practice and become more aware of the issues that are happening to both men and women, then we will have and we will develop more empathy. When we start looking at some of our own family members, where we come from, watching our brothers and what they're going through, the fathers what they're going through, I think that we will become better advocates and we will support this work on a greater level. So I think that's what we need to do.
And I think that's good, well said. I think what needs to be done is what we're doing right now. And we can just continue the collaboration. Everybody in this room, if you look at this room right now, we're all fighting for the same cause. And if we can continue that fight and everybody staying together as a collaborative unit, I think some things can start to happen real soon. So I just want everybody just to keep up.
So Ken, I know you're really good about just some takeaways here. So I know you got your E's, probably got a few R's.
No,
so I know you're going to end up with a fantastic letter. Let's see if you can do the X's.
Yeah, no X's. Yeah, absolutely. Can you get the mic? Come on, man.
Thank you. And I want to, no. I want to thank the panelists for their presentation this morning. And thank them for the work that they do every day. And thank all of our fatherhood coordinators, because the work that you guys do enhances the work of Healthy Start. Because Healthy Start would be a three-legged stool if it weren't for the work that we do with the men and the fathers in our program. This is truly makes the work of Healthy Start so much better. And I want to, the Alameda County Healthy Start is in here someplace. There you are, again, right in front of my face. But you have a father-friendly document that I think would be really cool to share with the audience and with the other fatherhood programs. And I think it speaks to one of the things that Keston said earlier about making the entire environment that you work in father-friendly. I want to also thank Angela for being here, because this is our third Fatherhood Summit. And Angela may be the first project officer to attend a Fatherhood Summit. She's right, she's the longest serving project officer. But it's important that the Division of Help to Start support and understand what fatherhood programs do. And you have to be here to know truly what the fatherhood programs are all about, and understand what men's health and what the fatherhood programs give, and what the underpinning and platform is that they provide for the Help to Start programs. But you gotta be here to do it. So thank you for being here, to support your Help to Start that you represent, but to also support the fatherhood and men's health programs for Help to Start for the association. So thank you, Angela.
So Ken, I had some keys as well when the guys were responding, and just they talk about the perception of men, provide eyes, and Keston said, change the name or change the practice. And Rodney talked a lot about the personal challenges of men, so I think those keys are important to remember. One question that we get often is, what's the role of women in the work? And I think just by Deborah and her comments and her work behind all that we do at the national level, her comments about Angela are examples of what women do in the work, and can they lead the work and be a part of the work? Absolutely. And in addition, lifting up mothers, period, and their role in this work around fatherhood speaks volumes to where they should be. So if we can pause and just really give an applause for all the mothers and women that reach out to and the leadership that you have shown in the work. And so I'm very hopeful. And so I encourage folks, these are unique gentlemen here. I happen to know them personally, and their stories are personal. They gave you a glimpse of their story at the beginning. But it's these type of gentlemen that you hire to do the work that makes it happen. They're unique in their contributions, just like every single one of you are unique in your contributions. You bring your passion to the work, you bring your full self to the work. And those of us that do fatherhood work and working for families in general, you have to bring your full self to the work, because there's so many things to do, but being there for the dad in front of you is most important. And these are some unique individuals. And so I'm going to encourage people to kind of check with them throughout the next couple of days, because you'll find out some fascinating things that really, the secret in the sauce is really bringing your full self. And even some of you newer folks that I've met that just joined your projects, we're hoping that you bring that special sauce to your sites as well. So let's give our parents another hand.